Oh wait, did you, dude? You guys see? He just got another one, man. He's got another person in the portal. It's not true, but you believe me. That's how good Kenny's been.
Happy Tuesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by the lister, Erik, Ruby, and we've got the deli man behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. Parker, Sharon, Rob, John, some other Arizona State fans in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Ruby, it never seems to end. Kenny Dillingham and company continuing to land some big fish in the transfer portal on the offensive, defensive side of the ball, with just about 3 days left in this transfer portal cycle, meaning players have until January 16th to enter their name in the transfer portal. Once they are in the transfer portal, they have pretty much till the end of time to make an announcement on where they want to commit. So if you're worried about any current Arizona State Sun Devils entering their name in the portal, well, just a few more days to worry about it before you get a really good idea as to what this roster is going to look like in 2026. And I think one thing is for sure, Erik, this roster as it stands right now, of course, there's still a lot to be decided at key positions in terms of who is starting where, but you got to feel good that this is a roster that certainly is aiming to compete with the Giants in this conference in terms of the BYUs and the Texas Techs once again for Arizona State.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with some of the additions that they got recently, of course, this morning being the one that comes to mind first, which we'll get into. But I mean, we've said it every single day. I feel like we start every show off with this. Like, Kenny and his staff have done a phenomenal job. And we knew that they were going to do well in the portal. We know that that's where the staff does excel, is when it comes to recruiting, building relationships, getting people to want to come to Tempe. But it's a very good sign that as soon as they got a little bit more resources, just a little bit more in their pockets, that they're getting results like this. And it's funny because you think, oh, they're done making big splashes, right? There's no more that they could do. At this point, I'm just kind of like sitting back and enjoying the ride, because I didn't think that they were going to get, one of their highest graded defensive prospects today. But guess what? They did. And so they continue to impress. They continue to address every single position of need. And it should get Arizona State fans so excited after, what was a relatively disappointing, akin to expectation season last year.
Yeah, 1,000%. And diving straight into the edition today, and of course we'll discuss the edition from last night as well. But we talked yesterday, we had talked on Friday about a need along the defensive line, right? Prince Dorba, gone. Elijah O'Neal, gone. And I know I'm taking your role as the lister today, but
please
Clayton
keep going.
Smith, Jacob Kungaika, the list kind of goes on and on and on of players that you lost, specifically not just on the D-line, but I guess your front seven in general. A front seven that was really the teeth of this Arizona State defense, not just in 2025, but in 2024 as well, right? So, yes, you added a couple of pieces over the weekend. Late last week, you look specifically at the Baylor edge rusher in Omarion Winston that transferred over. But I think today, again, shows you with the addition of Michigan State transfer defensive lineman Jalen Thompson that this is a coaching staff that doesn't just want to put tape over a hole. They want to completely rebuild what they have. They want to feel good. They want to feel safe and secure going into spring football, going into the season, that even if they have a couple of players here or there that are widely considered contributors or considered day one starters, you can never have enough competition, right? And I think the addition again of Jalen Thompson today, somebody that is very experienced in college football, had started 26 games at Michigan State over the last 3 seasons, somebody that was considered by 24/7 Sports as the number 18 edge rusher this transfer portal cycle. 30 tackles, 6.5 TFLs, 2.5 sacks, all on 420 snaps last season in 2025. Somebody that I know even prior to the addition, or when we were talking about Omarion Winston as coming in being a day one starter, realistically, the next edge rusher you add, Jalen Thompson, I'm sitting here saying, I feel like this is another person that you're probably considering as a day one starter.
I would absolutely look at Jalen Thompson as somebody who should figure in to not only be a day one starter, but like a day one impact contributor on this team. Other schools wanted him. Like, this was a hot commodity in the transfer portal. This is somebody who was a 4-star prospect, out of high school. I know that was a long time ago, but he's played a lot of Big Ten football. He's played a lot of football since then, and that is very impressive. That is somebody who, when you're talking about these defensive additions, it feels like they've kind of dipped into 2 pools, right? They've dipped into the we're taking a chance on you, and then they've dipped into like, you have played a lot of college football, or you've had some pretty legitimate college football experience in other conferences, whether it's obviously at Ashton Stamps over at LSU, or now you have Jalen Thompson, who is coming over from Michigan State. And then Omarion Winston obviously played at Baylor as well. So you are kind of eliminating the middle ground. I think the middle ground comes from some of the guys that you're developing that have been on your roster that, you are trying to maybe see what you got after a year not playing, whether that's a Joshua Shanklin. Obviously, what you're getting in CJ Fight. That's a top tier defensive lineman, like Albert Smith, Ramar Williams. Like you've got guys that kind of fall on that middle ground on your roster. Now you're like, let's take some chances on some, and let's go out there and let's get some high end talent on the other end. It's a nice blend of things, and I trust this staff to identify the right players and put them together.
Yeah, and I see Ben Sheezy in the chat from Michigan State fans on Reddit. Good against the run, but not a real pass rushing edge. And I think you look at the numbers, right, without really diving too deep into the actual film of a Jalen Thompson at this point in time, somebody that did only have 2.5 sacks, 8 quarterback hurries, and 420 snaps. No, that doesn't scream premier edge rusher, but I think something that you can point to is you look at what Arizona State likes to do. What they've done over the last several years is they've been committed to making teams one-dimensional, stopping the run, right? Which, again, if what Michigan State fans say to be is true, that's something that Jalen Thompson does. And you look at over the last several seasons in terms of what this staff has been able to do in terms of transforming these edge rushers. Prince Dorba coming from Texas, not playing. Clayton Smith coming from Oklahoma, not playing. And Elijah O'Neal from JUCO to Arizona State. The transformation of their games to be 3-down defensive linemen. Justin Watley from Cincinnati to Arizona State. Somebody that, again, wasn't necessarily a premier pass rusher, that then they kind of learn how to be those dual threat guys that you can have out there on 1st and 10 and they're not a liability against the run. And you can also have them out there on 3rd and long. They can pin their ears back and you feel good with a 4-man rush to go and make quarterbacks' lives hell. And I know it's still super early. It's still super, super early in the grand scheme of what is this team going to look like on every side of the ball. But this is a defense, Erik, that we were going into this portal cycle just, 11 days ago saying, man, this side of the ball has been gutted, right? Not necessarily with guys hitting the portal. Yes, there were a couple. You look at the Tony Lewis and Kubas, you look at the Javen Robinsons, but mainly this was a defense that lost a lot of talent because of eligibility reasons, right? Or because of guys going to the NFL draft, the Keith Abneys, the Ghost Rousers, the Xavier Alfords, the Jordan Crooks, etc. This is a base 4-2-5 defense, and like I said, they transpire how they transpire when you get to spring ball. Tell me how comfortable you would feel at this point in time if this is the 4-2-5 defense that Arizona State rolls out week 1. From left to right, Baylor transfer edge rusher Omarion Winston. Your interior defensive linemen are Jeffrey Manns, a 300-pounder from Hutchinson Community College. Next to him, of course, the staple of this Arizona State defense, CJ Fight. On the opposite end of Omarion Winston, all the way opposite him, you've got your new Michigan State transfer in Jalen Thompson. That is what I would anticipate your D-line to be day one as it stands again, January 13th, still 200-plus days till kickoff. The next row of that defense, I feel comfortable with an Owen Long, your Colorado State linebacker transfer, and then either a Cyrus Fiaseu or a Martell Hughes. Feel pretty comfy with those three right there. The back half of your defense, your 5 DBs, I again feel comfortable saying Ashton Stamps, Rodney Bimage, Montana Warren. On the back end, Boogie Wilson, Lyric Rawls. How does that 4-2-5 defense sound to you?
Sounds great to me. I think especially when you take into account that this is a defense that really focuses on stopping the run. Having somebody who's pretty good at stopping the run in there at your edge seems like a good fit. I do wonder, you do think that Jeffrey Manns is the one who might end up getting that starting nod. That was maybe the only name in there that I'm a little surprised at. Not that I don't think he can do it. I love Doug, man. But, I am curious as to what that spot next to CJ looks like.
It's certainly, I think at this point in time, probably the one spot along that D-line that I'm still questioning of really who's going to take that spot. Is it a younger guy? Is it a Ramar Williams? Is it somebody that we haven't really seen or talked about, like a Deshaun Morgan, who's a big defensive lineman, but of course, as a true freshman last year, I believe, didn't see the field, right? Mainly a scout team guy. Or is it Hiram? Is it Hiram, the other community college addition that they had in the portal? Or is it somebody else? Is it somebody else that's not even on the roster at this point in time? I would say that's probably a spot. I think the linebacker rotation with Owen Long, Martell Hughes, Cyrus Fiaseu, maybe some of the younger guys, again, that we haven't talked about, the Prairie Young Black Goats, the Tristan Bacons of the world. Maybe they rotate in there. And then I think nickel corner is another really interesting spot, as it's continued to be over the last several seasons at Arizona State. Still really trying to find your go-to replacement for a Shamari Simmons who left a couple years ago. Is that a Montana Warren? Is it one of the younger guys that you have brought in this portal cycle? Or is it, again, maybe somebody that we're not talking about?
Yeah, I definitely think that is the other position to look at. I wonder, do you think Shanklin could play in that interior defensive line, or do you see him more as an edge?
I see him more as an edge. I think he would need to add significant weight to slot in to the middle of that 4-2-5 defense. Again, maybe if this was like a traditional 4-3 defense where you had an extra backer, like almost as a safety spot, then I feel like that would certainly be something. But given the way that Arizona State runs their defense, with a lot of simulated pressure, maybe not a ton of actual blitzes in pressure outside of, like, of course, those game-changing fourth down situations that we've known to come and love at Arizona State, 4th and long, nothing like a zero blitz. But you would like to have size on the interior of your defensive line. It's something that has been successful for Arizona State the last 2 seasons, really last 3 seasons for ASU in terms of being able to really stop the run. Jacob Kongaika was a big dude. I think Zach Swanson and Michael Gardner are also 2 players that are interesting to discuss at that D-tackle spot. The reason I lean toward Jeffrey Manns is mainly because we haven't seen Michael Gardner and Zach Swanson in a while, right? These are 2 players that spent all of last season recovering from injury. You never know how they're going to come back. So I think, again, there's going to be some serious competition off the edge. Yes, the Joshua Shanklin conversation is going to be had. I think Kirtland Vakalahi is also going to be a part of that conversation. Don't sleep on the young buck Julian Hugo as well, part of this recruiting class coming in. So that D-line is certainly going to be filled with competition, as it always really has been, right? Even going back to last year where there was a lot of thought of, hey, it's going to be Clayton and Prince. Well, guess what? It was more of a rotation than maybe people thought, right? With the Justin Watley, Elijah O'Neal, Albert Smith getting in there every now and again. So wouldn't be shocked if you saw a pretty heavy rotation, but if I had to guess now, I would feel like that's probably where you're leaning with your base 4-2-5. And I think, again, like just 11 days after the portal is opened, that's as good of a defense, like structurally, as you could probably, construct at this point in time, just 11 days after the opening of the portal. Filled some major needs at DB. I think you added a lot of veteran talent as well. The Lyric Rawls safety addition, I think, is huge, opposite of Boogie Wilson. Obviously, Owen Long is somebody that's going to come in and compete as one of the best defensive players in the Big 12. I think point blank period, not just on this team. And then your base defense, the anchor of your defense for the last several years, CJ Fight coming back as well. Like, I think all things considered, this is about as good as you could probably get 11 days into this portal cycle.
Well, and you see the depth now too, where if somebody doesn't work out or figure to be the way that you want them to be or whatever, like you've got multiple guys at every single position. It feels like that you'd be comfortable at least giving a shot, seeing if they develop. I do think that nickel is really the only thing that has a question mark, but you are bringing back Montana Warren, right? Like you are bringing back somebody who has spent a season playing in that position. Even if he split time, that is somebody who going into last year, like didn't really have a lot of experience at that position, except for the first half of the Peach Bowl, which is an unfortunate situation to be put in as a player. And so I really do think that if you're looking for competition, you have it at Arizona State at every single position. There are a couple of guys that, we think would slot in as starters, but also like, you got to understand with football, injuries happen. Like Xavier Alford was slotted as a starter going into the season, one of the best players in the defense. Guess what? He barely played, right? That leads the way for who? For Boogie Wilson to go out there and to make an impact. Now we're like, he's going to be one of the better players in the defense. He is going to be a certified starter. You never know who is going to have their number called. And it feels like with the way that this staff recruits and the way that this defense plays and how they stay so true to a system, the backups and the depth guys, it feels like every single season you see a lot of them actually end up making some pretty big impact plays. Like, I mean, Justin Watley is somebody who was like the best player on the defense for the last couple of weeks, right? Like Martell Hughes was somebody who didn't start. He led the team in interceptions. Like you have more options like that. And that's kind of what the calling card of Brian Ward's defense has been since he's been here.
1,000%. And Jalen Thompson wasn't the only addition for Arizona State over the course of the last 24 hours. Another addition to the secondary for Kenny Dillingham's Arizona State Sun Devils. We're going to tell you all about him on the other side of our first break. Look, I want to tell you about our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, especially today because they've got a phenomenal giveaway / competition for you guys to drive into the rest of 2026 in a brand spanking new Corvette. Drive into excitement with the fabulous Corvette giveaway running January 16th through April 24th. 4 casinos, 4 Corvettes, which means 4 chances to win big. And we're talking all of Gila River Resorts and Casinos locations: Wild Horse Pass, Vequiva, Lone Butte, and Santan Mountain. Here's how you guys can qualify. Pay attention: Fridays from 6 p.m. through 8 p.m. hourly drawings for free bonus play or a finale entry. And then Tuesdays and Saturdays, earn 4 times the entries when you play with the card. And then Thursdays, 2 p.m. through 5 p.m., you've got the hot seat finale qualifier. Play with the card for your shot. Of course, check out Gila River Resorts and Casinos for staycations, vacations, etc. Don't miss your chance to accelerate into luxury. Play, earn, and win at any of their 4 casino locations.
Look, you always want to be prepared in life, and that's why we love telling you about our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. Write this number down now, even if you haven't been in a serious accident or suffered a serious injury, but you never know when a friend or you might need it. 602-783-8841. That's 602-783-8841. That is the number that's going to get you a lot. Mark and Alexis Breyer lead a team with hundreds of years of combined trial experience, multiple certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death. Plus, nobody can guarantee the outcome of a legal case, but they're happy to make you guarantees, and you and all their clients can cancel their fee agreement at any time for any reason. You can receive at least as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they reduce their attorney's fee. To do so, you may speak with one of their lawyers as often as you choose about anything you'd like to discuss, and you have the right to trust that they will always, and I mean always, tell you the strengths and weaknesses of your case so that you can make an informed decision. So if you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website, the link in our show notes, and tell them that PHNX sent you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It's a busy ASU season. Obviously, the portal is alive and well. It's basketball season. We have a post game tomorrow night for those of you who have been wondering. And it's ASU hockey season as well. PHNX is taking over Mullet. Join Leah Merrill and the PHNX hockey crew as ASU hockey takes on St. Cloud State on Friday, February 6th. And of course, the package includes a pregame meetup with food and drink included, a game ticket in section 107 for Sun Devils versus Huskies, immaculate hangs with your favorite Valley hockey crew. And don't forget, diehards, which I think like 90% of the chat in here are diehards, you can get 20% off your ticket. Go to gophnx.com/events and make sure you show up to MOLA and support ASU hockey. It is never a calm time, Totri, in ASU athletics.
No, absolutely not. And there's still a lot of fun teams to go out and support in between Arizona State football season, right? Molly Miller has, of course, Arizona State women's basketball firing on all cylinders. When the hockey season does roll around, highly recommend you go out there. I think this is going to be a big year for Megan Bartlett and Arizona State softball. Get out and go support. Same goes for Willie Bloomquist in Arizona State baseball. So definitely get out, go support all these sports in between the Arizona State football season, which is still, unfortunately, Rubus, 200-plus days away from getting started. But that doesn't mean we can't get excited and get amped about all of these additions, something that we have done and we will continue to do, I imagine, for the next several weeks leading up to spring football for Arizona State. We talked about the ASU edition this morning, the Michigan State edge transfer of Jalen Thompson. And then they had an addition last night, Antoine A.J. Belgrave-Shorter. That's right, from first to last name, including the nickname in the middle. Penn State DB transfer, a redshirt freshman this past season for the Nittany Lions. Of course, it didn't go the way that the Nittany Lions thought it was going to go in 2025, firing James Franklin, etc. But the addition of somebody that, again, at a certain point in time, he played. He played for Penn State. He had 14 tackles and 144 defensive snaps, again, as a redshirt freshman this season. So not somebody that is bringing the same level of starting experience as a Jalen Thompson, again, starting over 26 games for the Spartans, but somebody that, again, has upside. They've played at this level, played in the Big Ten. And, again, you kind of get him at a position of need.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, he's seen some shit. Like, he's gone through a lot, right? Just in 1 year at Penn State, obviously, we look back at what they all went through and where that program is at. But to be able to see the field, even if it hasn't been the best, and I know that some Penn State fans were complaining about his play, but again, as a true freshman, what do you want from him, especially in that situation? I'm excited for this edition just because this is somebody who, Penn State's a premier program. I know that they're in a weird spot right now, obviously in the post James Franklin era, but they were a Final Four team in college football last season, right? This is a team that they were a Final Four team, right? I'm not making that up.
It was, yeah, I believe they were a Final Four team. Yeah, they were a win away.
Yeah. And I think they lost. I think they lost to Notre Dame. Anyway,
yeah,
they're a premier college football program, and to get on the field, no matter what the circumstances are, when you're that young, is really good experience. And somebody who probably has not a lot of great tape, but certainly has gotten great reps for experience and for learning. And so this was, again, another addition into that secondary where we saw a lot of young guys leave. We saw a lot of the secondary depth leave. It is making more and more sense the more people that are added. And I think that this is, again, somebody that I'm not figuring to start, but somebody who does have multiple years of eligibility and somebody who maybe could start for Arizona State in the future and be a rotation piece this year. Kind of like a Rodney Bimage was this year, where it's okay, this is somebody who's been kind of waiting in the wings. We see him play when needed, but going into this year, he's a certified starter.
And somebody that I would probably slot in as right now more of a safety than anything else. Again, we'll see what they roll out with these guys when spring ball does eventually get rolling. But I think if you're specifically somebody that's coming to Arizona State to play safety, you have to almost look at the guys that have come before you, and regardless of opportunity elsewhere, just be like, man, if I stay here and I truly sit and learn from the guys in front of me, and I, continue to be a part of this defense with Brian Ward, good things are going to happen. Because look at the last 4 safeties at Arizona State and what they've been able to accomplish at this level specifically. You had Shamari Simmons transfer, I want to say, from Austin Peay, a part of that first recruiting class. Solid safety, kicked him down to nickel. Great final season at Arizona State. Even the year prior had a solid year at safety, regardless of my thoughts in 2023, I want to say, right? Boogie Wilson, transferring over from Washington State. Didn't play at Washington State. Comes to Arizona State. Steps in because of injury. I mean, we're talking about this guy is potentially a top 3 returner on the team, on the roster, going into now 2026 after a really phenomenal year as a back-end piece for Brian Ward's defense. Ghost Rouser, transferring to Arizona State. What he was able to accomplish in the last 2 seasons as a torpedo. Maybe the last guy in the conference that you wanted to see as a running back fill in a hole, right? Xavier Alford transferring over, somebody that had bounced all over college football and never really got an opportunity or found success at other universities for this, that, or the other, and comes to Arizona State, becomes a massive voice not only on the team, but in the community, in the locker room, and is a staple on that Big 12 championship defense in 2024. So, like, if I am AJ here, or if I'm even Lyric Rawls coming to ASU, I'm like, man, this feels like a great spot to be as a safety in this conference, in college football, just based off of the progression and the development of those that had come before you, I guess, at this respective spot. I'm not sure outside of running back, in all honesty, if there is a position that's more like, man, if I'm going to go anywhere and develop, it's got to be Arizona State.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because those are 2 rooms that kind of pop up to mind, but when you were saying that, I was kind of like doing this mental math in my head of like, well, what position room doesn't have some sort of argument like that after the last couple of years, right? Quarterback room, you look at Sam Levitt, who left as the top player in the portal, and you look at Jeff Sims, who set records, broke records here at Arizona State, despite his strengths and flaws as a quarterback who had seen a lot of time, in college football. You look at the wide receiver room, like you go back a couple of years, Brandon Ayuk, right? N'Keal Harry, like Ricky Pearsall. You've got now Jordan Tyson is somebody. The running back room, like you mentioned, you've got NFL players, multiple NFL starters currently in the league right now in Rachaad White and Cam Scadaboo. And then you look at what these running backs have done in a collegiate level, right? You look at the defensive line over the last couple of years, and you've got guys that, maybe you haven't seen that success on the next level yet, but you've had guys transfer in and find enormous success here and grow here. You've got Keith Abney, who is going to be probably a first-round pick, if not an early day 2 pick in the NFL draft after his phenomenal season. And then you have Javen Robinson, who was a hotter commodity than ASU fans expected, in the portal, leaving it as your corner. And so you kind of break it down by each position. And I know we're talking about safety specifically here with AJ, but I just found it like an interesting kind of state of mind where I think the reason why you're seeing a lot of younger players and players transferring up from JUCO and community colleges and whatever it is because they do see that. Like they see a path. In college football today, the hardest thing to find as a player is a path towards development. For the stars, you're going to be wined and dined and you're going to be given millions of dollars and you're going to be able to play. How many kids are in the transfer portal right now who are not going to be on a team?
Thousands
of kids, right? Thousands of players. You look at somebody who wants to grow, maybe isn't getting the looks that they are getting from other schools or they're not in a great position, and Arizona State wants me. Oh my God, I'm going there. I'm going there because look at what they've done with players that clearly have the talent but weren't going to be recruited, weren't going to be sought after like some of these other players have been who have found success and moved on to the NFL. It's kind of a fascinating thing to watch as time goes on, now that like we are a significant chunk of time into the Kenny Dillingham era, because that seems to be a staple and a calling card. And why? Not just top-end players, but, some diamonds in the rough have wanted to come here.
Yeah. And they panned out. Like the majority of them have panned out for Arizona State, regardless.
Who transferred to Arizona State and it didn't work out? Like,
I mean, I can think of some players. I don't really want
But
to
it's
list
not a
them.
majority.
No, it's not the majority. The majority of them actually play and pan out and develop as long as they stay here. But yeah, there's the occasional one and dones here, right? I think specifically of like a Kamari Wilson that transferred over from Florida. I think of a Jaden Rashada, right, who committed
Yeah.
here and it didn't pan out. I think of a Kanye Udo that transferred here and it didn't work out for a number of reasons, right? Like there's always going to be a couple players because the odds of going, of batting 1,000, right, are just it's improbable and impossible, right? It's not going to happen. But the wide majority of players that come to Arizona State find a home here. And they enjoy it, they play, they succeed. And I think, again, looking at what this team hopes to accomplish in 2026, this is not a team that we're going to be sitting here discussing in the summer as a, hey, let's see what we can accomplish in 2026. Let's see what an 8-win season is about. This is a team that fully intends to compete for a Big 12 championship in 2026. And if the last 11 days don't show that to you, then I don't know what will at this point in time, right? Of a, hey, let's go out there and let's show everybody that 2025, they didn't want to see us if we stayed healthy, right? That's what it says to me. And Desert Kid in the chat, because I had listed a bunch of players that either didn't work out, et cetera, says, did Sam Levitt work out? Desert, I would say that you would have to have the IQ of a toddler if you don't think that Sam Levitt worked out, because the Sun Devils got a Big 12 championship out of it. And for Sam, worked out for him leaving as the top quarterback in player in the transfer portal. So you can sit there and try and say that it didn't work out. I think both sides did damn well for the Sun Devils and for Sam Levitt in regards to that transfer. So again, you'd have to have the IQ of a goldfish to think that it wasn't a win-win for everybody.
Well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory then now, isn't it? Yeah, and my point wasn't that nobody's ever failed here, but when you bring in such a high number of transfers, which this school has brought in over the last 3 years. I know last year was a little lower, but in the last 3 years, they've brought in quite a few. And you see this type of success rate, like that's almost unheard of in college football, especially if you're not going to be getting guys that are like certified 5 stars, top end portal guys, which you've gotten this cycle, but you weren't really getting before. And yeah, if when Sam Levitt transferred here, we were told the trade-off would be, okay, Arizona State gets a Big 12 championship and Sam Levitt, leaves to be the top portal player in the country, I think everybody would sign up for that. I understand that didn't end the way that everybody wanted it to, but like, let's just be honest here. We would all take that trade.
Yeah. And again, this is what you're left with, right? There isn't like time to be like, I wish this, that. Yeah, like this is where you're at.
It also helped make Arizona State a destination for quarterbacks.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like you reloaded at quarterback. Now we'll see. You'll be back in the square one of, hey, we got a quarterback competition, which again, I haven't had to worry about a quarterback competition really for a couple seasons now, just because Sam felt like he was going to be the guy at the end of spring ball when he got here. You had Rashada transfer out. Yeah, there was a quick minute where there were folks being like, is it Jeff Sims or is it Sam Levitt? It was always Sam Levitt. Then you have last year, it was always Sam Levitt. This year, it's going to be a quarterback competition. Is it Cutter Boley? Is it Jake Fetty? Is it Mikey Keene? Is it Cam Dyer? Like, these are the conversations that we're going to be having when spring ball and fall camp roll around. But we've spent a good chunk of today's show, obviously, talking about Jalen Thompson, talking about the DB edition from Penn State and AJ. And I want to continue talking about the transfer portal as a whole and a little bit more about this roster and where we as a show feel comfortable with this team, where maybe they could lean, and who we're really excited to see when the season does get rolling around. We're going to be discussing all of that, and we want your thoughts on it too on the other side of our second break.
Just take a look at what's on my head right now. Do you see this? This nice Sun Angel Collective hat? Well, I wear this all the time, a lot of the times on the show, and it is still as good as the first day that I got it, because our friends over at Brandon Bills, they just make phenomenal hats. They have you covered with the best custom headwear, from snapbacks, truckers, fitted beanies, and tees. Brandon Bills has you covered with performance and style. Plus, of course, they have a partnership with Arizona State University. You see players rocking Brandon Bills Bills hats. You see coaches rocking branded Bills hats. The entire stadium on game days are rocking branded Bills hats because they are a local company, and man, do they love the Sun Devils. They also partner with the Phoenix Suns, which are like the Sun Devils of the NBA, and they're a local company out of Mesa, Arizona, and you can save some money on your Branded Bills order. Head to brandedbills.com. Use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. That's brandedbills.com. Use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order.
Look, this is a big week for saving money with our friends over at Circle K. Specifically, if you are a part of Inner Circle, it's Circle K's free membership program that's always trying to help you save money on snacks, drinks, and especially on gas. So how do you get enrolled? Well, go to the App Store, download the app, enter your email and phone number, and that's it. That's all it takes to be a part of the Inner Circle. Now, what does that mean? Well, aside from saving on drinks and snacks pretty much every time you walk into a Circle K location, your first 5 fill-ups as a member of Inner Circle, you guys can save 25 cents off per gallon. Again, your first 5 fill-ups, the savings add up. And this week, you've got an Inner Circle Fuel Day on Thursday. You guys can save big with our friends over at Circle K. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. The Deli Man out here with some shenanigans, Rubis. This guy just doesn't stop. One more. There it is. There it is. Look, continuing to talk about Arizona State, we spent a lot of time on roster construction, what this team could at least look like when we get to spring ball. So I want to ask a couple questions for Rubis, the Deli Man, for chat as well. So throw your answers out in the comments. We'll get to them if we can. In terms of specifically starting in terms of confidence, not just as a team, but specifically in certain rooms. So, Erik, for you, as it stands right now, knowing that the portal is still open, knowing players can technically still enter and players can technically still commit, what room are you most confident in as of right now?
This one was pretty easy for me. I'm taking the wide receivers, and I'm a little shocked at the other answers here from you guys, just because as far as like how confident I am in these receivers, I mean, you look at who you added, right? Omarion Miller and Reed Harris, those are 2 of the top 5 receivers in the portal. So, okay, you're bringing in good talent. You're also bringing in Raiden Vinesbright as well, who is one of the higher ranked recruits in this transfer portal cycle for ASU. So you've got your weapons. And I'm really confident in Derek Eusebio to continue to be a mainstay of this offense. And I also feel like when you look at some of the other receivers that haven't entered the portal, like you look at a Jalen Moss and what he was able to do in that last game, and hopefully what he's able to grow into with another year here, I'm really excited for this wide receiver room. And I think the confidence comes from, the 2 guys at the top that transferred in, but this is a very deep wide receiver room now. And I know we felt that way before, but before it was like, oh, is Jaron Hamilton going to be wide receiver 2? And now it's like, is Jaron Hamilton going to see the field because of how deep this wide receiver room is? I think that's a really big shift.
Yeah, and a lot of folks in the chat agree with you. Parker is on the same page with you. Sharon's with you here. David says wide receivers. Z-Man says wide receivers, which I understand, right? In terms of the talent pool that you have there with the additions of Raiden Vinesbright, Reed Harris, Omarion Miller, like I get that. Plus the returners with Jaron Hamilton, Derek Eusebio, Jalen Moss, etc. Guys we haven't seen, Plas Johnson. Like there is a lot of talent in that room. For me, it's more so last year we said you had a lot of talent in the room, and I get it. It's different. It feels like there is certainly you've got far more top shelf pieces at wide receiver going into this year than you did last year, right? It felt like you really just had Jordan Tyson. The rest was TBD. So yeah, I agree. You've got certainly the most talent, I think, on offense in that room. I don't think that's a debate for me. I think for me, in terms of confidence, it has an equal share of the talent you have in the room and also consistency, right? And I think what Sean Aguano has done at running back over really since he got here has shown you that it doesn't really matter who's back there. They're going to find a way to be successful at running the football. And I think this year, specifically looking at what you have a beautiful balance of depth and returners and new guys. You have David Abbott that you brought in from Villanova. You have Marquise Gillis that you brought in from Delaware State. You return Kyson Brown. You have young pieces in Man, Jason Brown Jr., Grayson Rigdon. You got a new guy coming in Carde Mack. Like, you have a lot of backs in that room, and really it's going to be up to Sean Aguano to figure out which one really gives ASU the best chance to succeed at running the football in 2026. But just based off of what we've seen, based off of the guys that you do have in this room, I feel very confident with the running back room. And I get why a lot of folks say wide receiver. I think for me, the biggest takeaway from all this is Shane has the quarterbacks, and we don't know who's going to be the day one starter.
Well, it has nothing to do with the quarterback. It has everything to do with the guy on the graphic, and that's Kenny Dillingham.
The Dilly Man and the Deli Man.
And also, I promise I'm not stupid. I don't know what happens with these graphics. Like, I take my time, and I'm very precious with them, and then I say, room that you are most confident in. So, yeah, I have the quarterbacks, and it's because of that guy on the right. Like, I trust Kenny Dillingham, and I said it at the start of this quarterback search. They're going to bring in somebody that no one's really expecting. No one was expecting Cutter Boley.
Yeah.
And they brought him in because that's Kenny's mold, is a guy that has a really high ceiling who hasn't put it together yet. And honestly, like, you can kind of get him at a value, and they did.
Yeah.
For what it is for a quarterback in these days. Yeah, I'm confident in the quarterbacks, and again, it has nothing to do with any player. I just know that Kenny's going to get that room right.
It's kind of funny that we went with three. I mean, every position is key, but like from wide receiver to running backs to quarterbacks, none of us really on the same page there. And again, not to say that we don't have confidence in the other rooms. I just think it's interesting that we didn't go in the same direction. So going from a room that you're confident in, Erik, what room do you feel like needs to prove it? What room still needs to put it together, especially when we get to spring football, knowing how important that those sets of practices are? And the same question goes to the chat as well.
You know, I thought about a lot of rooms here, but I settled on the offensive line. The offensive line for me is a room that I'm fascinated in, because I do believe that they've added some good talent. I do believe that they've added some players that figure in to be starters, and they've been developing well too, but not the greatest year for the offensive line, with a lot of, strenuous circumstances, but also a lot of unproven guys at the power 4 level on the offensive line. I mean, Jermaine Mitchell is your big addition in this transfer portal cycle. He hasn't played, power 4 football, right? You look at a Champ Westbrooks as somebody who got a start in that Sun Bowl, but he's not somebody who has started a lot of games, although we all feel confident that he'll be able to play well. You overall kind of go down the list, and how many offensive linemen do you look at that you say that's somebody who's proven it as a consistent starter in college football? It doesn't mean they can't be good. It just means that they do need to take a step, and they do need to prove something. And so I'm going with that offensive line, because that's such a big key when it comes to the running backs, the wide receivers, the quarterbacks. Is that offensive line needs to be a lot more stout this year, needs to be a lot more consistent. And I think they need to prove that.
Yeah, Parker with you saying O-line. Devil fan saying, yep, the O-line. And some folks saying that, David says he's high on the offensive line, think it's going to be much better. I would agree. I think the offensive line is going to be better here in 2026 than it was in 2025. So I get that, especially because it's going to be a completely new offensive line for the most part, in terms of like starters, guys that were here, guys that weren't here, young players taking a step up, transfers, etc. Guys coming from the JUCO level in starting here. So I get that, and I understand it based off the fact that, again, like, this is wildly a group that wildly, underperformed based off expectations in 2025.
Well, and this isn't me saying I don't have faith they're going to do it. Like, I believe they're going to be good and they're going to be improved, but just because I believe it doesn't mean that they don't have to go out there and prove it and get that confidence boost in spring ball. Like, to me, I'm basing my faith in Saga and the development of guys and the belief that they're going to get the most out of them. But that doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen. Even though I think it's going to happen, they still have to go out there and prove it.
Yeah, 1000%. Shane, you went the defensive side of the ball with this one.
Yeah, I think what I need is to be proven that Rodney Bimage is going to take that step that everyone thinks he's going to take, or that somebody's going to take that step. This team needs a lockdown corner, and I think it's so important in this style of defense to have two guys that you can trust on the perimeter, because I know we talk about like all of this manufactured pressure and the simulated pressure and the things that this defense can pull, but you're still only bringing four guys, and when that doesn't get home, in theory, you should have a cushion, but they play so soft that it's like I want that guy to be aggressive, and there's a reason why Keith Abney wasn't thrown out this year. It's because he was going to make you pay. I want two of those guys, maybe not to that caliber, but two of those guys where you can have that confidence in them to not have to play that soft coverage on the perimeter every single time. Because whenever we were complaining in a big situation in the second half about how soft the defense was, yeah, a lot of that is game planning and prevent and whatnot. But that almost never came on the side of the ball that Keith Abney was on, and that's because he didn't have to play that far off to keep him to keep that receiver in front of him. So yeah, I need that confidence in spring ball for one of these transfers, one of these young guys, one of these unexpected players to be that lockdown corner on the perimeter. Because I think you're going to be good at nickel and safety. Like I just do. I feel confident in that.
Yeah, you're replacing your perimeter guys, right? Regardless of how you felt about Javen Robinson, somebody that was in the scheme for a while, right? And of course, Keith Abney was, a man amongst boys out there for the majority of this season. He was truly an island corner that would really take away opposing, number one wide receivers, which you're right. You need somebody that's going to come in regardless of experience, regardless of hype, that can come out there and be that guy. So I think that's fair. And I got all the faith in the world in these DB coaches to figure it out in terms of, translating some of these guys, whether that be a Rodney Bimage taking that next step, or an Ashton Stamps transferring from LSU, or a Caleb Chester developing from a guy that didn't play at Texas to potentially starting and playing here. I'm going to go actually in the room that Shane's most confident in. I still think they need to put it out there, and that's quarterback. I understand the logic of Kenny Dillingham and the Marcus Arroyo success in terms of quarterback whisperers, but based off what you have at quarterback and knowing that it's the most important position on the field at all times, you don't have a guy really out there that's shown you that they can go win big games, right? You have Cutter Boley, who we scream about potential. Potential can only take you so far until it's realized, right? Not to say he's not going to do it, but in terms of a room and a quarterback that needs to do it in spring ball, Mikey Keene didn't record a single stat while at Michigan. Prior to that, yeah, Fresno State and UCF doesn't really do much for me. Jake Fetty, I know there's a lot of hype around him. I haven't seen him at this level yet, right? As a true freshman. Cam Dyer, what do you have at this position, right? So, like, if there's a room that needs to show me the most in spring, it's for me to feel confident going into the year, it's got to be quarterback, because it's the most important position. And as it stands right now, you don't know who the guy is in the most important room. So I think that's something that certainly needs to take a big step in spring ball.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. I would say the top two for me are offensive line and quarterback. I think the reason why I guess I left quarterback off is kind of why Shane put quarterback on the first graphic, is because I do have faith in Kenny to get the most out of them. And I have faith in Saga as well. I just think it's a lot harder when your puzzle has to do with multiple players instead of just one.
Yeah.
Plus, we're not going to be able to truly evaluate the quarterback if it's not for the offensive line. But yeah, man, I mean, Cutter Boley's got his flaws. Like, Mikey Keene's got his flaws. Like, Jake Fetty's young. Cam Dyer, we haven't seen him play. Like, there are a lot of question marks, and you didn't really have those question marks going into last season. So again, it's the same thing with mine. I feel confident those question marks will be answered and will be addressed, but that doesn't mean that they're not there. And I think those are the two rooms for me. And then I think, I think Shane's answer too, that's honestly probably my top three, because there are some really big questions in all those rooms.
So we've gone room by room, confidence, prove it. Now let's say that Arizona State has filled its needs to this point in time, and it's just based off of off of wants, or maybe they haven't filled every single need that you would say, that's out there for the Sun Devils. If you're in charge, which you're not, and I'm not, and the Deli Man's not yet, where would you go? What position would you still say, hey, I want to see one more? I want to see one more addition for any reason. Maybe you don't feel like there's enough depth. Maybe you don't feel like you have a true star in that room yet. What room are you looking at saying, yep, I need at least one more guy?
I want another punter. Give me special teams, okay? Now, whether that's a punter or a kicker, I'm feeling more on the punter side of things. Like, I get it. That's not where you're going to be looking at the most. But as much as I'd like to have faith in the Australian kid from Ohio State, uh, I want options because we saw what bad punting can do for this team and what bad special teams could do for this team. And like you mentioned, and we talked about earlier, I feel pretty good going down the list of guys that we've gotten. Now, look, looking at your guys' position rooms that we'll talk about in a second, I'll take them as well. Like, that would be great. But I don't know, man. I'm a little scared. And maybe I'm just at PTSD. Maybe I'm just scarred. But I'd like to add another either kicker or punter to this team.
I think Jack Nudo taking over full-time for a full offseason is going to be big. And then I don't think enough people have talked about the addition of Mike Cyphers working with the specialists, a long-time NFL punter, somebody that's been around phenomenal organizations, phenomenal teams. I think he's going to have a real impact on the specialists, the kickers, the punters, the long snappers. So I'm very interested to see what that room looks like as a whole. Shane, you're going back in the trenches on the defensive side of the ball, regardless of the addition of Jalen Thompson this morning.
Yeah, I think I'm mainly looking interior. I want another guy next to fight that I can trust. I know you're getting guys back that didn't play last year, and you're excited about some of the younger guys, and I want a big old beefcake from the South.
Big old beefcake from the South.
Yep, put him right next to CJ and let them go to work.
Call it a day.
Call it a day.
I'm here for it. I don't think you can ever have enough depth on the interior of the defensive depth.
Beef depth.
Beef depth.
Beef.
Chat in unison. 1, 2, 3. Beef depth.
Beef depth.
Come on, Erik.
I did it.
He's on a delay.
You did it late.
He's on a delay.
It's not my fault. Blame the internet.
1, 2, 3. Beef depth.
Beef depth.
Was
that closer that time?
It was closer. It was closer. Let's see. One last time. Let's see if you can get it. Count us down.
Was that 2?
1, 2, 3. Beef depth.
Oh, man. Look, I'm going on the back end of the defense. I'm saying the secondary. Specifically at corner, I think, again, similar to the conversation that we had prior with you, Shane, that you kind of need to see somebody prove that they can take that next step, whether that be a Rodney Bimage, an Ashton Stamps, a Caleb Chester, somebody that we haven't named, right? I think in terms of the DBs, you can never have enough guys, similar to what we said with the quarterbacks, I think a couple weeks ago when they added Mikey Keene, of like, your odds of winning the lottery go up if you have at least one more ticket, right? And I think that's the case here. Not that I don't have faith or confidence in the DBs that you have, but I think it's always beneficial to add somebody at that position, especially in this conference, right? Last year, we saw how many elite level quarterbacks were in the Big 12. And I think you're going into this year with the potential of still having some really heavy hitters at quarterback, so you can never have enough DBs. I wouldn't be shocked if they added another corner or another back-end safety. I just think you can never have enough of those guys. So we'll see. We'll see. I know they've been tied to a couple different players, one from Texas, one from UCLA. We'll see as the transfer portal continues to really pop for Arizona State. But before we get out of here for this Tuesday edition, again, we will have a normal show on Wednesday and then a ASU U of A men's basketball postgame show Wednesday evening following that game.
Yeah, might just be a show.
Might just be a show. Yeah,
we might just talk about the transfer portal.
I mean, I'm down. I'm down at that, regardless of whatever happens. So make sure
that would
you
be
are
really
subscribed.
funny.
to PHNX Sports.
Post game, Arizona State continues to add in the transfer portal as men's basketball loses to Arizona.
They might, man. Given what they're doing, they might have a portal addition to alleviate from whatever happens tomorrow night. So make sure, again, you're subscribed to PHNX Sports. But before we get out of here, a lot of additions. I want to know from you guys which one has been the biggest home run. Shane, we'll start with you on this one.
Well, I think we should just go 1, 2, 3 again.
You want to go 1, 2, 3 again? Okay, we can go 1, 2, 3 if you want to count us down.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Omarion Miller.
Yeah. Did we all say Omarion Miller? You were almost there. Eric.
How did you mess up the timing?
I don't.
Yeah, you were late, Totri.
I think I was more focused on Erik being able to say it on time.
Yeah.
Omarion Miller.
Yeah.
Okay.
No shocks here, right? Like
No.
somebody that came in as the number 13 player in the portal. I want to say the number 2 wide receiver by 24/7 Sports in the transfer portal. And he is your likely day 1 replacement for Jordan Tyson. I love the addition of Reed Harris, as does everybody else. Different type of receiver opposite Omarion, but like Omarion Miller is a true star. And again, not to say Reed's not to say Raiden Vinesbright can't be, but Omarion Miller was your splash of the transfer portal so far.
Yeah, and again, Owen Long on the defensive end, big addition. Like there's been really good additions to the portal. It could be a conversation if you really wanted to nitpick, but it's Omarion Miller. Like we did a breaking news pod for a reason, right? We celebrated for a reason. This is a big deal for a reason. Like this guy has the chance to be the best singular player on the roster next year. And that includes some really high-end talent. He has a chance to be the best wide receiver in the Big 12. He has a chance to be a first-round pick. He has a chance to do just about everything that you could imagine a wide receiver could do. This is the biggest home run. There have been other home runs, but this one went 450 feet.
That's same logic there, Shane, on that one with Omarion.
Yeah, he's the highest rated player ever in the history of sports.
Yeah, well,
so
no.
Oh, that's not true.
True.
No, yeah, he's going to be. It's like you gave a Corvette faster tires.
I was gonna say you painted flames on the side of it.
Yeah, you painted flames on the Corvette and gave it an open road.
Yeah.
And instead of Dion putting it in cruise control, let that Corvette hum.
Let it hum, Rubus. Let it hum. There you go.
Hated that.
Hit the like button. Hit
Out
the
of
subscribe
all
button.
the things that we've done on the show, that's in my top 10 least favorite.
Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast.
1, 2, 3.
See, you can't do it because we don't. Or actually, can he do it?
Yeah, go ahead, do it again.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Nope. I hate you guys.
Oh God! If you want to continue to follow us with all the latest news and notes for Arizona State, make sure you give the show a follow. PHNX_Sun Devils on X, on Instagram. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the lister, also known by the United States government, Erik Ruby, on social at Erik Ruby. That's Erik with a K. You can follow the Daily Man at Shane Deef.
Just making sure that Ruby can't hum as always.
And we will see you guys on Wednesday. In the meantime, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.